Hey guys, RC Anime here. One thing I find really impressive about anime is its ability to make something 2D seem 3-dimensional, where the space feels alive and authentic. In other words, the impotence between it being animated and it feeling like it was filmed in live action is barely there. Whether it's through the handling of acoustics, lighting, or whatnot, there's this strong sense of reality that makes us feel like this is really happening inside a classroom. And we, for a moment, forget that this was all done with pen and paper. A lot of anime do this, some better than others, but out of everything, there's really nothing like Hibike Euphonium and how close it is to capturing a realistic aesthetic. So today, I want to take a look at what makes the show's world come to life.
さあ、北氏の実力見せつけてきなさい。
For starters, let's talk about location. Something that's hugely common in anime locations is that they're based off of real-life places. Now, there's a lot of reasons as to why people do this. Sometimes it's to promote tourism, and other times, directors and writers like to use areas they're familiar with. Either way, this can be really helpful to the production staff. Some filmmakers only take the basic layout of these places, while others try to recapture the entire space in animation. And I think the latter is harder to do. Girlish Number has a scene that takes place in the familiar Akiba, but despite it looking alike, the setting lacks the neighborhood's atmosphere. The crowds aren't really there, and the lighting feels absent. Overall, it's missing a sense of ambience. Now look at Euphonium's rendering of the Uji Fireworks Festival in Kyoto. The purpose of using real-life locations isn't just for recollection. It's also about resonation. Every place is distinctive from something as simple as its surroundings to stuff as mundane as the time of day. Like the faint mist you see early at morning in the countryside. Or having each individual sunset look different.
ちょっと時間帯が経過したということで、そっちの色で。これ再現。これ再現。
色差はあったからですか。色差。それかもなんか似たようなトーンというか影は。
Euphonium has arguably some of the most faithful depictions of its real-life references, taking details from the more recognizable places to the hidden gems. Sure, you can say the team at KyoAni is lucky for being in Kyoto already, giving them native advantage, but even when considering a lot of anime set in Tokyo, where most studios and people are, it's rare for the city itself to feel alive and real, at least to the extent of Euphonium's scale. And that's mainly because KyoAni is lucky enough to make their anime on much of a less tight schedule than pretty much anyone else. With that time allowing them to include the smallest details like pedestrians, cars, distinctive shades, or even just a train passing by in the distance. All of this can help sell the world as a place revolving beyond its characters. And that's what we mean by saying a show's world feels alive. Things are happening in the background and foreground, and there's more than one thing to pay attention to. But basing locations off of real ones isn't always the solution when it comes to less distinctive places like inside a classroom. Or someone's home. One of the ways Euphonium makes its interior stand out is through its amazing sense of 3D space. Using perspective lines traced from CG layouts with multiple desks, chairs, and people to sell the shot. Having that said, there's a lot of use of bokeh as well. For example, in this scene, Yamada and Ishihara captured its blurred look by using a dirtied lens. According to Ishihara, they used a lot of dirty bokeh blurring the background to create more compelling realistic shots. Even when somewhere seems more plain at first, the show manages to keep it potent by having something like hot sunlight reflect off of Kumiko's euphonium. Not only does this allude to the weather in a unique way, it also reflects the intensity of her emotions and what she desires. The next feature, and probably what separates Euphonium from other anime the most, is its use of relative sound. Dialogue in anime rarely has reverberation, and if it does, it's almost never with the same diversity of euphonium.
好きってそれでいいんですよね。ありがとうございました。
もう遅いから
Most of the time, what goes into the mic is what comes out. But in reality, there's all different kinds of echoes, ranging on the size of the room, the space between buildings, or if it's out in the open. And you can tell the subtleties of these differences not just for the dialogue, but also from the acoustics of the instruments being played inside and out. This kind of awareness for how sound travels is extremely rare in anime, and it really gives Euphonium a fresh edge for even its simplest scenes. Some scenes actually lose this effect when they decide to play background music over them,
どうして許可しないんですか？
but when it's just a dialogue and the space,
ちょっと。はい。
it feels real.
あなた低音パートの時点で
Of course, not all anime strive to be super realistic, and they don't have to. But if or when they do, Euphonium has employed some of the best examples for doing such, in a way that's both evocative and emotional. As Naoko Yamada said, words, visuals, and sound, when a viewer experiences the amount of information that all of them have combined, their feelings begin to sway. And if you trigger small waves everywhere, it'll become a big one.